All right, guys, today we're talking about distribution, but we're expanding on it a little bit. Back in intermediate school, we did things like 3 multiplied by 2x plus 4, and you learned that you have to multiply everything on the inside by this 3. You have to take that 3, multiply it by both of those, so you end up with 6x plus 12. Then in middle school, they expanded on this a little bit, or they should have, and instead of just a 3 out in front, you maybe had something like 3y multiplied by 2x plus 2y on the inside. But again, you just took what was in front and you multiplied it by everything on the inside. So you ended up with 6xy plus 6y squared. This year, we're going to take that idea and we're just going to expand on it. But instead of just multiplying a number in front of the parentheses, we're going to put another set of parentheses in front. So if you look at this example right here, we have an x minus 6 being multiplied by 4x plus 3. So it's not just the negative 6 that we're multiplying this entire set of parentheses. Okay, and there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. One is just quick and easy. Another one uses a little bit of a diagram for those of you that like diagrams. But the key word that we're going to use when we do this is right here. It says FOIL. And this is something that I bet if you went home and asked your parents what FOIL means, it's one of the few things they probably remember from high school math. What FOIL means is it's nothing mathematical. It's just an algorithm to help you remember what to do in this problem. Because what we need to do is take this set of parentheses and multiply it by this one. And the way that we do that is we have to take this 3x and multiply it by the x, and we have to multiply it by the 2. But we also have to take the negative 4 and multiply it by x and multiply it by 2. So the word FOIL just helps us remember. And what these letters stand for, F stands for first, the word first. And what that means is you take the first term in each parenthesis and you multiply them together. So 3x multiplied by x becomes 3x squared. The O stands for outside. So you take the outside terms, the ones on the outsides, the 3x and the 2, and you multiply them. 3x times a positive 2 is a positive 6x. Then you take the inside terms, which are these two right here. You multiply the inside. Negative 4 times x. They're the two that are on the inside of the parentheses. That becomes negative 4x. And then L stands for last. I take the negative 4 and I multiply it by the 2, the last one in each parentheses, which is negative 8. So FOIL mathematically doesn't mean anything. It just helps you to remember to multiply everything that you're supposed to multiply. So you can use that to just work your way through the problem. Once you've done that, we have a simpler form we've distributed, but now we just need to simplify by combining like terms, something you've been doing for a long time now. So 3x squared, 6x minus 4x is 2x's, and then we have a minus 8. So the FOIL method works great. Again, I'm going to take the first in each, F for FOIL. So n times 4n is 4n squared. Then I'm going to take the outside, which is the n, and the negative 7, which becomes negative 7n. Then I'm going to take the inside, which is my negative 6, and my 4n, which becomes negative 24n. And then I take the last, which is negative 6 and negative 7, and that becomes positive 42. Be really careful. Just like distributing back in middle school, there's a negative sign in front of this 6 and a negative sign in front of that 7. So when you multiply a negative times a negative, you get a positive. We combine like terms. We get 4n squared minus 31n plus 42. That would be your final answer. Okay. If, again, FOIL just tells you what to do. Basically, I'm taking this number and I'm multiplying it by this number. So 2p squared times 2p becomes 4p cubed, because I'm doing p squared and p. Then I take that number and I multiply it by the second one. So 2p squared times -5, which is -10p squared. Then I'm going to take the 3 and multiply it by the 2, which is a positive 6p. And then I'm going to take the 3 and multiply it by the -5, which is a -15. In this case, there's no like terms, so that would be my final answer. It doesn't matter how you do this. If you like FOIL, if you want to look at, if you want to go through the word FOIL and remember it that way, if it helps you to draw lines and multiply it just like you distributed back in intermediate school, you can keep track of it that way. The point that what you need to remember is to multiply everything in here by everything in this one. Okay. Another method that you can use, actually, let's do one more example. What if there's more than, and this is where FOIL kind of falls apart. Okay. What if one of the parentheses has 3 things in it? FOIL doesn't work anymore because there's not just a first, outside, inside, last, because this has 3 terms. So we just have to remember, I need to take everything in here and multiply it by everything in this one. So I'm going to start with 2x squared, and I'm going to times that by x, which becomes 2x cubed. Then I'm going to take 2x squared and times by -3, which is -6x squared. Now I'm going to take -3x and times it by x, so -3x squared. And then I'm going to take -3x times it by -3, which becomes positive 9x. Then I'm going to take the 1, times it by the x, that's just an x. And then I take the 1 and times it by -3, that's just -3. Then we combine like terms. I put my x squareds together. So I still have 2x cubed. But now I have -9x squared, and then I'm going to take my x's, 9x and 1x, that becomes 10x's, and my -3. So that would be my answer. So FOIL is great if both parentheses have 2, but if one has 3, you have to do it a little bit different. You just have to remember to multiply everything in one by everything in the other. One of the other ways to do this is using a table, and I know that a lot of people liked this back in elementary school when they were doing formulas and different multiplications. The way that it works is I've got 2 terms in my first parentheses. So I have 2 squares, and I write my first terms right here, 3x plus 1, or excuse me, I'm writing too fast. I write 1 term in each box. So I write 3x on this box, and then I put a positive 1 in this box. These 2 terms in the other set of parentheses, I'm going to write going down. I have an x and I have a positive 4. Then going back to elementary days, you multiply each set of boxes. So I do the x times the 3x, which is 3x squared, and then the x times the 1, which is a positive x, and then 4 times 3x, that's a positive 12x, and 4 times 1, that's a positive 4. Now I just look for like terms and rewrite my problem. This is my only x squared, so I'm going to start with that one. Then I have 12 x's here and another x here, so that's 13 x's and a plus 4. And that would be my answer. I don't care how you do the problem. You can use a table, you can use FOIL, you can draw lines. We're going to practice a couple more right here just so you can see a few examples. If you don't like the table method, go ahead and skip forward in the video a little bit to the next section. So I take my first set of parentheses and I put my first term here and my second term here. And then my second set of parentheses, I'm going to write going down. And now I'm just going to multiply everything. 2p times 3p is 6p squared. 2p times 4 is 8p. 5 times 3p is 15p. And 5 times 4 is 20. I look for like terms, which are my p's, there's only one squared, so I'm going to write that one first. And then I have 15p and another 8p. Those are both positive, so that's plus 23p. And then a 20, which is positive, so plus 20. That would be my answer. If you have more than two terms in one of your parentheses, you just make your table bigger. So I put my 2x squared on this one, my negative 3x on this one, and my positive 1 right here. And then x going down and negative 3 from this set of parentheses. And then I do the same thing. I multiply 2x cubed. X times negative 3x is negative 3x squared. X times 1 is x. Negative 3 times 2x squared is negative 6x squared. Be really careful of that negative sign. Negative 3 times negative 3x is positive 9x. And negative 3 times 1 is a negative 3. I look for like terms. I'll give you a hint. They're usually at diagonals from each other. So 2x cubed is all by itself. There's no other x cubes. I have x squareds in both of these, so I combine those together. That's negative 9x squared because I have negative 6 and negative 3 more. I've got x's in these two. 9x plus another x is 10x. And then I have a minus 3. And that would be my final answer. Okay? Again, I don't care which method you use. Pick one that works for you. And you might not know for a while. You might want to try a few of them out until you figure out which one you're most comfortable with. Now, there are a few of these that once you've practiced this quite a bit, you may notice some shortcuts. I gave you two formulas. If you have a plus b squared, like this example b right here, if I have this number plus another number squared, then I have two options. I can write it out this way and do the FOIL method or the box method, or I can use this formula, which tells me that I just square the first number, which is 2x, so that becomes 4x squared. My second term is going to be 2 times the first number times the second number. So 2 times 2x is 4x, times 9 is 36x. And then my last term is just the second number squared. 9 squared is 81. So that would be my answer. Again, if you can do enough of these and remember that shortcut, you don't have to FOIL, add like terms together. It just does all of that for you. But it only works when it's a special case. This example right here is another special case. We've got n minus 7 squared. So I'm taking n minus 7 and I'm timesing it by n minus 7. And it looks exactly like this one. The first part of my answer is going to be the first letter. This is my A, remember, this is my B. It's going to be a squared, so it's going to be n squared. My second number is going to be a negative 2 times A times B. 2 is 2 times n, which is 2n, times 7. So you have 2n times 7, so you get negative 14n. And then my last term is just b squared, and 7 squared is 49. Okay? If you can remember those formulas, great. You are more than welcome to use them. I was never good at memorization, so I prefer to just use the FOIL method or write it this way and just multiply everything together. Okay? Whatever works for you, you're welcome to use on the homework and the test. There's one other special case that I think is a lot easier to remember and a lot easier to use, and that's if the numbers are the same. If you look at this example, this one says x plus 9. This one says x minus 9. What's cool about this is all you do for this shortcut is square the first number and square the second number with a negative. Your answer is going to be x squared minus 81. And the reason that works is if I take x and multiply, I get x squared. If I take x and times it by negative 9, I get negative 9x's. Then I do the 9 times x, and that gives me positive 9x, and 9 times negative 9 is negative 81. Well, this negative 9 and this positive 9x cancel each other out, so you're just left with this part. Okay, so in this example, 3c minus 4 times 3c plus 4, I could FOIL, cancel stuff out, combine like terms, or I can just multiply the first ones. And again, this works because they're the same, they just have a different sign. So my first one is just this part squared with a minus sign, and then I square the 4. So 9c squared minus 16 would be your final answer. You're going to get it whether you do it the long way or the shortcut way. Either way, you get the same answer. I don't care which one you use, but if you can remember that shortcut, it might save you some time on the homework and on the test. Okay? So using that shortcut, m plus 3n squared, this is the same parentheses being multiplied. So we're going to use that first set of shortcuts. So this is my a, this is my b. So I just get m squared plus 2. Well, I'm not going to write it out. I take 2 multiplied by m, which is 2m, multiply it by this letter, 3n. So that becomes 6mn. And then I square the second one, which is 9n squared. That would be your final answer. Or FOIL, write it out, m plus 3n times m plus 3n, and do it the long way, you'll get the same answer. G minus 4 squared, again, it's the same parenthesis squared. This is my a, this is my b, but this time it's a minus sign. So I square a, then I get a minus 2 times g times 4, which is 8g. And then I square the second one, which is positive 16. That would be my final answer if I'm doing the shortcut. If I'm not doing the shortcut, I'm still going to get there. It's just going to take a little bit of extra work. Okay. 2 more examples just using those shortcuts. Again, I like these ones. If it's a t minus 13 and a t plus 13, all I have to do is square the first one. So t squared minus the square of the second one, which is 169. 13 squared is 169. My answer, I'm done. I don't have to FOIL, simplify. That's my answer. This one, same thing. A minus 6b and a plus 6b. I just square the first one, a squared, minus, and I square the second one. So 36b squared. And that would be my answer. If you don't remember the shortcut, go ahead and FOIL it, and you're going to end up with the same answer. Okay. Moving on, do we need to do more examples? Well, it's just a video. So if you're ready to do the homework, go ahead and move on to it. It's homework number 4. There's 16 questions. They all look very, very similar, almost identical with different numbers. You're just practicing this over and over again. If you want to see a few more examples, go ahead, watch the rest of the video. I'll go through these last couple examples with you. In this case, we're going to use the table method. I've got an x squared and a plus 1. And in this set of parentheses, I have an x and a minus 3. So I multiply x and x squared to get x cubed, x and 1 to get a positive x. Negative 3 and x squared becomes negative 3x squared. Negative 3 and 1 becomes negative 3. And I look for like terms, cubed, squared, x, constant. No like terms, so I just write them all out. X cubed minus 3x squared plus x minus 3. Please write the biggest x first. We're going to try and do polynomials in standard form. So start with x cubed and then the squared and then the x and then the constant. So this one, x plus 2 and x squared plus 3x minus 4. So in this case, I have 3 terms in one of my parentheses, and I have 2 terms in the other one. This is a positive 2. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times 3x is a positive 6x. 2 times negative 4 is a negative 8. And we look for like terms. X cubed is my only cubed. And then I have 2x squared and 3x squared. They're both positive, so that becomes 5x squared. And then I have 6x and minus 4x. That becomes 2x. And then I have a minus 8 at the end. That would be your final answer. Okay, so that is multiplying polynomials. Good luck on the homework. If you need help, come and see me. If you are gone, you can come in before or after school. And don't forget, you also have that Get Help button that you can use at home. Just be careful that if you use it, don't just get the answer. Make sure that you're using that button to learn how to do the problem, not just how to get the answer to the problem. All right, good luck.